Alright, it's kind of quiet, so let's just get started. This is Bucky W0SUN, and I got Chris here, KB2IDX, and you're listening to, and you're participating with, the Colorado HDNet, Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net, or you can call it Colorado Hotspot Digital Net. I call it both. Formerly the Digital Learning Net. The Digital Learning Net has moved to Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on the Castle Rock Repeater Group Reflector XLX022 Module H, I believe, and I'll provide more information about that. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and read who I've got so far, and then we'll take some over-the-air check-ins, and then I'll pass it over to Chris. How does that sound? Over to you really quick, KB2IDX, and then you can pass it back. Yes, sir. Go right ahead. I got them. You call it. I'll type it in. Okay, man, there's a lot of people just joined us, and now we're all ready. So I'm glad y'all are here. And here's who we got. We got myself and Chris. We got Brian W1BKW, KD0D, K0GIO, AC0XW, W9EGL, N7GAD, W5STC, KE8UXT, KE0TPW, N3PAY, KV0LSM, WD0CIV, N3JAS, KQ1USA, Z02BEZ, AE0NV, W0KVZ, VK2MSW, WX4Charlie, VE4DBZ, N9DYO, KF0OTF, MM1DEA, and Kilo November 4 Foxtrot Michael there in Virginia. Alright, let's go ahead and Chris, get ready, and come on in with your call signs. If you don't have access to the internet or don't have access to ham.live, we'll take over the air check-ins. Please come out with your call signs. This is W0SUN. Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo. Bravo 6, Mike Bravo. Okay, I got you, Jeff, in California. Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo. We got Jeff. Anybody else want to check in? Please come out with your call sign. Okay. Graham, MM1DEA, said good morning, Chris, Bucky, and everybody. Good morning to you, too. And it's 7 p.m. over here in Colorado. And I saw what you wrote, KQ1USA. He said he's having some problems with the battery system in his camper trailer. Oh, man. Oh, no way. Oh, man. Okay, this is even worse. He was going to take a trip to Denver, and it's been canceled. I'm sorry to hear that, Jamie. I was looking forward to going to lunch again. Alright, I'm just reading from the chat room. If you'd like to join our chat room, come on in on ham.live. We also added Brian, NT60X, and Steve, KA1CNF. So that brings us up to speed, and I'm going to pass it over to Chris, KB2IDX, and you can give all the other information and start us off. Well, alrighty. Well, wait a minute. We have a few names to add to the list here before I get started. NT6, go ahead. NT6DX, KA1CNF, and KC9EOD, bringing us up to 30. And here we go. Well, welcome everybody. Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net. That's a mouthful. I'm Chris, KB2IDX. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana. Coordinate control with Lucky, W0SUN, in Littleton, Colorado. Every Wednesday night right here, 1900 hours Mountain Time, Colorado HD. We are here to talk to you, help you figure out issues, all related to visual ham radio, answer your questions, comments, experiences, all of them. As you know, we do like to take check-ins online here at ham.live. And most of you already know how to get in there. And I'm going to say if you need assistance getting into ham.live, let me know and I will help you personally. We also have available non-amateur radio related listening venue like the Rainmeister Hose Line. That link I have, and we'll put it again in the room. Let me reset. Hose, that Rainmeister Data Network, and this is Talk Group 31088. Also, I don't know if Matt is with us tonight, but we normally will have a YouTube link at kf0owp.net. Please also check out our net resources at coloradodigital.net. Lots of good info there. And please donate if you can. And with that, I would like to return over to Bucky. And we remember with Directive Net, please go through net control. And everybody have fun. We will talk to you on the other side of Bucky. Yes, thank you. And 3PAY. That. And I will put that link. I think I got it right now. I do. Here you go. There's all the links. KB2IDX back to net control. W0SUN. All right. So last weekend was a holiday. Last Monday was a holiday here in the U.S. And I took advantage of it. My wife and I and some of the family and some friends and neighbors, we went camping. Got away from the whole, just got away from it all. And took our new camper trailer, which I missed when I took the fall. We had a big family trip planned with my immediate family, and what ended up happening is I was in the hospital June 14th, and they went off and went camping. My wife stayed behind for a couple of days, but she had a lot of anxiety because she wanted to be with me, she wanted to be with the family, and I told her to go with the family because I'm being taken care of in the hospital. So that was a bummer. That's all behind me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. So we went camping, and I was so happy to take our new trailer out. And I took advantage of the solar. We got hit with a solar, solar hit, whatever, which made conditions really nice. I got away in the Rocky Mountains in a meadow surrounded by peaks, 14,000 feet high peaks, and made a lot of HF contacts. And I haven't done that in a long, long time. So it was really fun to get away from digital communications just for a minute. I love digital communication, but get back to my roots from years ago and do some portable HF radio. So I really had a good time. Now I'm back into it, and I'm back on the net, and I'm really happy to be here and get back into my projects. So that was a lot of fun. All right, let me take a break. All right. One of the things I got to do was 2 weeks ago. Todd. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Todd. KF0. Oh my gosh, am I forgetting his call already? KF0. I'm having you have one of those mental things here. Hang on a second. KF0. TFT? KF0 OTF. Thank you. Man, I don't know why I just... Anyway, KF0 OTF. I got to meet Todd out at the Swap Fest 2 weeks ago. And we were walking around, and we came across these P25 radios. And I bought one. And then I talked to him. He was he was going, shouldn't I? And I'm like, come on, man, if you do it, I got one, you got one. And so he did it. So he got a P25 radio. I've got one. Earlier on, Chris got one, KB2IDX. Earlier than that, Vale got one, W0KBZ. We've got our P25 reflector up on XLX303. So I'm really excited to get into that mode of communication. We've done nets on P25. I have a good understanding of the technology of P25. I have no knowledge on code plugs or anything like that. So Todd and I picked up a Motorola. We both picked up a Motorola XPS 2500. So I'm pretty excited about that. And Chris, he already got his going, man. I talked to him on the radio today. I was out mobiling around on Colorado HD. Mobiling, can you see that? I was out driving around, and I talked to Todd, and he was on P25, and he was sounding great. So I was pretty excited about that. So cool. Very, very cool. And Chris, very cool that you got it going as well. So, yeah, check out our P25 reflector. Let me pause for a reset. All right. The other day, XLX3LV, we lost our Brandmeister connection. And I did some research on that. Initially, I thought they took it away because we had some looping involved. Come to find out, that's what they said initially. And we're like, no, we don't. We're like, we're talking to Brandmeister, and we have a good relationship with Brandmeister. And as we found out, we dug some more, and found out they reset their Brandmeister Master Server 3102, which is connected to our XLX303 reflector. It just so happens, coincidentally, that Bud, the owner of the XLX303 reflector, W0RMT, he decided to restart his server at the same time. So when they both came up, we weren't connected. We weren't connected to them. They weren't connected to us. And we delved further and they found out, no, you didn't do any looping, you weren't banned, sorry, our bad. And they reconnected us. So we were down like a week, no, we were down one day. And then we were back up again. So that's what happened. That was before I took off for the Labor Day weekend. So that was the real story. That's the real story. So I found out a little bit more today. All right. So we're back up and running. We haven't been down for any reason for us, and that was just a fluke, coincidence. Chris, I'm going to turn it back to you, and you can do some comments that you have, maybe some comments in the digital scene, and then take some Q&A. Over to KBQIDX, this is W0SUN. Alright. Well, first thing I want to do is get the chat room caught up because we've had a few more people join us. W0SSB, PC1RAYKN6WES, and W1VAN. Good evening, and thanks for coming aboard, you guys. I do want to make people aware that I am following as close as I can WPSD, and I'm following the change log, and they are definitely making things ready, what looks like to me, to be moving up to Trixie, the next version of Linux. So I bet you we can expect that within, I don't know. They're not saying much about it, so I don't think it's that far away. Within this year, I think. The other thing that I noticed, and I mentioned this to Bucky earlier. Let me reset real quick. The other thing I noticed was I was helping a friend get his hotspot set up over the internet. I was my computer to his computer, and I noticed that when we loaded the new image at the new install portion, and those of you that have done this, you remember when it comes up finally and says your new install, then you go to the configuration page, and what's still there but M17? M17 is still in there. But the minute you do the first update, it's gone. So that tells me that it's not gone forever, and it wouldn't take much for them to get it back. So I'm assuming that it's political in nature. I don't need to go into that at all, but they're probably waiting for the right thing to happen. Yep, it's just like one update away. And I also follow the M17 fork of it, which I have no idea whether they're going to change when it changes. So all that is yet to be seen. That's about it for the moment. For me, Bucky. We send it back to you. Oh, wait. We just got 3 more into the room. N1 UKJ, KC0LVY, and KF0IGK have joined us. That brings us up to 37. Welcome aboard, everybody. Buggy, back to you for now. Okay, enjoy the X. Alright, I just saw K5AWZ enter the room. He probably was just jumping in here, so, you know what? James, we're gonna add you on. So let's add K5AWZ. Alright, we got a question from Todd. Will WPSD stop supporting Bullseye as the OS? So Bullseye is the Raspberry Pi operating system. Will WPSD stop supporting it? I'm going to let you answer that, Chris. That answer is not out there yet, but my assumption would be exactly what Vale just said, that it's probably not going to be there anymore when Trixie is in there. So they probably will support Bookmark and Trixie. That would be my guess. Thank you, Bucky. Is it L2B? Is able to come in? Go ahead, Paul, in New Zealand, with your comment. Hey, Roger Bucky. I've seen various pieces of hardware that are still supporting the Bullseye, like the NanoPi Neo and some of the spots. So they may continue to support that due to the lower spec of those pieces of hardware of it. Okay, very good. Yeah. So I think Bullseye is a very big part of WPSD for now. And so what are all these things we're talking about? Just a quick refresher. These are nicknames for different versions of the operating system of Raspberry Pi, which is based on Debian Linux. So when Debian Linux comes out with Trixie, we also call it Trixie on Raspberry Pi operating system. And we went from, with Raspberry Pi, we went, with PiStar, we went from supporting, Bookworm to Bullseye to Trixie, and, these are, nicknames that came from Toy Story. So, that's what's going on. I'm going to send it back over to Chris. Yeah, that's more than likely they're not going to want to deal with 3 at a time. Anyway, that also brings up that I wasn't supposed to ask if anyone had any questions out there, which we did have a couple, so let's do that now. If anyone has any questions, here's your chance. Please come now. This is KB2. Yeah. Alright, nothing hurt. Boy, you know, folks keep piling in. We just got 2 more. KK7RGR and KA5JKI. Welcome. That brings up 40. One more bit of information that I would like to share that I have been paying attention to is, if y'all remember, a few months ago, when the FTX1 came out, they said there would be an August firmware update that would bring the capability of Wires X, which asked more questions than it answered, but we were told to wait till August. Well, guess what? August came and went. I haven't heard anybody talking about a firmware update. I'm a Yaesu person. I've had, just like Bucky, I've had Yaesu since day one, back in the 80s for me. And I will never say anything bad about that company. But they're doing something a little bit different. And I say this because an email was sent to the representative, and it wasn't answered. And the question that was asked, where's our firmware for Wires X? I personally asked that question on the Facebook official Yaesu page, and they screen all their posts, and mine has never been released. And I asked it on Sunday. So that's all I know, which means they're not talking about it. And anybody that has heard any little tidbits on that, I'd be curious to know. Because the FTX1 is supposed to be Wires X capable, right? Anyway, I'm about to time out, old Bucky. I'm going to send it back to you, sir. 82IDX. K5AWZ with a question? There, I knew you checked in. K5AWZ, go ahead. Hey guys, good evening. I was actually trying to get in on your call for a question earlier, but radio and the hotspot just didn't seem to want to cooperate there. But anyways, you were just talking about the Wires X. I actually had a question about digital modes. Is there a digital mode out there? Is it maybe Wires X from Yaesu or NXDN or some other mode? Something that's more of a analog-like, simplex-like digital mode, where you basically just call up the frequency and just basically turn digital on and you got digital, without having to dial up groups and time slots and all that. Is there a mode out there like that? Because DMR is all that I'm familiar with, and I'm just curious. Let's see. You're coming in. You're coming in with a DMR duplex hotspot, I believe, from what I can see. So you're coming in with DMR, great. But you're asking me if there's a mode that all you have to do is point to the frequency and start talking. Yeah, C4FM. I think that's what you're asking. Is there a mode where you can just turn on the radio and go into digital mode and just start talking? Is that right? No code plugs whatsoever. Is essentially the question. Just something that's a little simpler than EMR with the talk groups and the time slots and whatnot. Something I could just give to my mom and say, hey, look, this is a digital radio, just dial up the frequency, and, she has to be ham license, but, something that's just very simple. And I'm not familiar with C4FM. That may be the answer. Yeah, I did a short video one time. I had a friend of mine that was curious about digital radio, so he asked what I recommended. That's pretty simple and pretty inexpensive, and I recommended C4FM Fusion Radio. we went to a ham radio outlet here in Denver, and he went ahead and purchased a FT70D, and I sat there with my watch, and once he was done with the transaction, I hit the timer, and we went out to the truck in the parking lot, took it on my, the tailgate. We opened the box. I was helping him, and he put in his call sign in the FT70 radio. So he put that call sign in. That's what it asks you when you first turn it on. And then I showed him how to go to the VFO, variable frequency oscillator, the tuner, and he went into the VFO. I said, why don't you try this repeater? And he put in the 448.350 repeater, which is a fusion repeater. And he put out his call, and he got an answer, and he started talking to somebody on digital. And that took 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We didn't program the radio. We didn't do anything like programming except for put in the call sign and tune the frequency and got on the repeater. But we did that in the parking lot, and he was good to go. And he talked in on a fusion repeater. We could have picked another fusion repeater. We have a few of them here in Denver. And he could have changed the frequency and talked on that repeater too. So just to give you an idea of how easy it was, that fusion for him, in my opinion, was made for ham radio. Yeah, thank you for the response there. I'm actually looking for something to do simplex, just radio to radio with my wife when we're out camping and things like that. Just mainly for just to have it. So, anyways, yeah, I appreciate it. And, thanks for the answer. I'm looking to pick up a couple of those handy talkies. But yeah, you guys have a good night and enjoy your guys' net every week. And look forward to talking to you later. Well, I got news for you. I have a ham radio family. My wife and I, and my son, that's three of us, and soon to be my daughter-in-law. She's getting her ticket. Actually, she's got a radio. She's just not using it yet. But we've all got FT70Ds. And I've got a mobile, and I have an FTM 400 in the car. My wife has an FTM 500. My son has an FTM 200. And we can communicate to each other in digital mode. Easy, simplex, piece of cake. There's a simplex call frequency, 146.5625, 145.5625, that's right. And it's so easy to get on and speak, talking digital, and it's very crystal clear. In fact, you can do digital narrow, which gives you a little bit of data and your voice, or you can go voice wide and use all the bandwidth for crystal clear digital communication. So, but the neat thing is, to go back to digital narrow, you can use the digital part and get a compass heading, and you get the mileage of how far you're away from each other. So that's pretty neat. So if we're far apart, I can see the compass. When my son transmits, I can see where he is in relationship to me. So check it out. C47 Fusion is pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Now, the FT70D is an entry-level radio, and it doesn't have GPS, but you can still do group monitoring mode. And, that's stuff to explore later on. But, yeah, Fusion is a pretty cool mode. All right. I'm glad you came on the net. With Terry, KCAGEF. Welcome, Terry. On the net. So, I'm glad you joined us. All right. Any other questions or comments for the net? Any questions or comments? Please come down with your call sign.
KQ1 USA with one question.
All right, my friend Jamie in Alabama. Go ahead.
The question I have is the FTM 310 going to have the crossband repeater function built into it? I'm just curious because I'm very interested in that radio. If it is going to have that crossband repeater built in, I may go ahead and pick one of those up as soon as it comes out, or at least get on the waiting list. That control from KQ1 USA.
Here is what I know. The FTM 310 is very similar to the old FTM 200. So the FTM 200, which was discontinued, which I really like that radio. It was a lower priced radio. The limitation on that 310, that FTM 200 was it only did, you could receive on both bands, but if you wanted to do APRS, for example, and have something transmitting on band B while you're talking on band A, it only does one band at a time. So APRS would be on hold while you're talking. And it's not true. Like the FTM 400 and the FTM 500 is receive, transmit on both bands, receive, transmit, receive on both bands equally. Where the FTM 200 was, you can only transmit one at a time, but you could receive both at the same time. Now, the FTM 310 is exactly the same way. So, I have to go look. Can you do crossband repeater on the FTM 200? If you can, you're probably going to be able to do crossband repeat on the FTM 310. So, I don't know for sure, but I got to do some research on that. But I believe if you can do it with the FTM 200, you can do it with the FTM 310. So, yeah, somebody maybe can research that, but, yeah, we have to go look at all the spec sheets, but I don't know for sure. Back over to you, Chris, and Jamie. Man, I'm like, my mind is going today. Back to you, Jamie.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, I've been trying to research it on Google, and I've found conflicting information. I've read one article that said yes it can, and another one said no it can. So I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out in the wash. And yeah, later this year we'll be headed out to Denver, so I'll try to catch up with you then. Maybe by then I'll have one. But all right, Becky, you have a good night, and I'll be monitoring the net. W0SUN from KQ1 USA.
So my opinion, based on what I know about the FPM 200, because my son has one, is you cannot do cross-band repeat because they don't go at the same time. They won't go at the same time, okay? So just keep that in mind. My opinion, and maybe they'll do something that I don't know, but I don't think you can do crossband repeat. I don't think it's a radio that you can do with that. But we're going to have to, it's not 100% for me. So that's my opinion, and I got to do some research on that. I don't think you can do it with the FTM 200. I don't think you can be able to do it with the FTM 310. But you can do it with the FTM 510. And if you have any of those older radios like the FTM 400, the 300, you can do cross band repeat with those radios as well. Although the FTM 400 has a limitation because it won't do fusion to fusion. It only do it can do analog to fusion, fusion to analog, I think, or something like that. I have to go research, man, because that would be a really cool net to talk about crossband repeat. All right, good question though. Yeah, that makes me want to go research a little bit more. W0SUN. Any other questions for the net? Please come down with your call sign. AWZ with a comment. Comment. Okay, I heard James, K5AWZ, and I just barely heard Chris. So let's go with James with a comment. I'm talking about the FTM models, so I'm not sure if you're talking about DMR, but if you guys are interested in DMR crossband repeat at all, I've got a Unitone 578 out in my truck that I do crossband repeat with all the time, and it's really awesome radio for crossband and cross mode repeat. So just a thought, just wanted to throw that out there. Back ahead. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I have an Incon 878, and I know those DMR radios do crossband repeat, so I know Chris has one too. So we're talking about fusion radios here, and I do a lot of crossband repeat with my AC radios, but I've never done it with the DMR radio, but I know they can do it. So, hey, thanks a lot for that comment there, James. Appreciate you being on the net. Over to Chris, KB2IDX, with your comments, please. Yeah, I learned something new this morning, and this just jarred my memory of it. And I was listening to KZ4JON John this morning on his morning net, and he told us, and it's just what I said. He told us that the 310 is not based on the 200 or the 300. It's based on the 150, the new analog one. Remember what this thing looks like. It doesn't look like any of the old radios. It looks like the new analog one. So they're using those radios and adding the capability of C4 FM. So if one of those radios is capable of crossband repeat, then this might be too. That's the interesting thing right there. And I put a link in there for the 310, and I'm going to put one in there for a minute for the 150, the analog version. Also, since I have the microphone, we have added 3 more people in the hand live. We've got W4KSK, KF0LPG, and WD0HDR. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in. And back to you, Bucky. KB2IDX. Okay, I just researched it. The FTM200 does not have the capability for crossband repeat. The FTM300, the 400, the 500 can do it, but the FTM200 is built with a single receiver, which prevents it from being able to receive. Now, somebody put in the FTM310DR series provides true dual band operation with 2 different receivers on different bands. So you can receive simultaneously C4FM with VHF, UHF, VHF, VHF, UHF, VHF, or UHF, UHF. So maybe you can do crossband repeat with the FTM 310. So stand by for that. I guess you might be able to do that. Okay, and I really appreciate Chris's comment that the FTM 310DR, if you put those side by side, they're almost identical except for the buttons. You're going to see a Wires X button on the 310. You won't see one on the 150. So, guess what? Doing some research, and it looks maybe like we're in luck. I think we can do cross-band repeat, but it's not 100%. You have to wait and see, but it looks promising. So, based on what I'm finding out so far. So yeah, it's way better. It's made differently, and I believe the FPM 150 does cross-band repeat. So good stuff. Thanks, Chris. KB2IDX. This is W0SUN net control for the Colorado HT net. All right. Any other comments or questions? Please come out with your call sign. Okay, check-ins. We've got, well, I think we left off with Dave, LG0HDR, and we're picking up Eric in Colorado Springs, KE0SMR. Good to have you guys on the net. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'm going to talk about something that is an issue, not just with Colorado Digital, but with Casey White as well. For example, Casey White is a very large Wires X network, very popular, not just with Wires X, but other stuff as well. And then we're over here with Colorado ET. So the other day, well, first of all, I want to tell you that I love doing this net, the Colorado Digital Net, because I get excited about digital communication with all these different networks you can explore. And I very highly encourage everyone to explore everything they want to in digital communication. That includes NXDN, P25, M17, YSF, FCS, D-Star, all these different reflectors. That includes AMCOM, TGIF, DMR Plus, Brandmeister. There's all these cool networks that you can get into. And that's really neat. I love doing that myself. I like getting over on TGIF sometimes, on AMCOM, on Brandmeister. I go, a lot of different places. And I think everybody should also do that kind of exciting digital communications as well as, let me reset. And let me interrupt this communication with, this is hot off the press. And I love, Brian, I love you being on the net because you find out information so dang fast. So I'm starting to rely on you, dude. W1BKW. Man, just keep it up. So he looked up FTM150 RASP. The FTM150 does not have cross-band repeat capability. It offers true dual-band simultaneous operation, allowing two different receivers to operate on separate bands. That's what I was saying. Two different operations on two separate bands, or or within the same band, VHF to VHF, or VHF to UHF, etc., etc., it lacks the specific function for crossband repeat. This feature is present in the FTM150R model, which can perform crossband repeat by holding specific buttons while turning it on. Yeah, that's pretty typical. Okay, keep this in mind. This is artificial intelligence answer, AI answer. But you can't always rely 100% on that because those have been known to be wrong. But very interesting. So, see, I kind of have my doubts too. But anyway, the verdict is still out. All right, back to our regular schedule program. Thanks for that, hot off the press, Brian. Okay, if you'd like to join us on ham.live, that's our chat room. There's a lot going on in there. It's great. Also, we do, you can log in electronically. So if you'd like to get logged in electronically and join our chat room, please go to ham.live, ham.live. And that's where I get a lot of this. This is really great because you guys always help me out. All right, back to what I'm talking about. I really encourage everybody to explore digital communication in its fullest. Rest in peace. And no longer. I'm also book and echo link in my opinion for the last 20 years. That is anywhere else. Okay, if you're experiencing packet loss, make your transmissions a little bit shorter. It may help. That's just a word of advice. So my transmissions tend to be long-winded. We'll see. So, yeah, keep me updated on packet loss there in the chat room. So, with that being said, this is some of the stuff I've heard this week. When we lost Brandmeister connection, initially we thought it was because somebody put an unsupported bridge into the Colorado HD talk group, wires X room, whatever. Now, we've had that happen before in the past. In fact, it's about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, somebody was bridging the net into another network. And that is strictly prohibited. In fact, we do have a statement that I'm going to repeat. And this is an important announcement, and this is something we got to put on our webpage maybe. But, and this is from the owner, the main dude of the XLX303 reflector, Bud W0RMT, who is the LX reflector. Let me reset. So here's what it says. Important announcement. Please do not connect any bridges between any of our modules on XLX303 and any other networks, talk groups, all-star nodes, etc. Doing so risks our existing links and peers, and it makes it very difficult for us to manage the system. If we detect any unauthorized bridging, we will permanently ban and blacklist the call sign of the controlling station. So that was a statement from W0RMT. Now, let me tell you something else about the XLX reflector. By the way, this is posted in our Telegram chat room. And yes, I'm losing my voice. We do have a Telegram chat room. If you go to coloradodigital.net, there is a link. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a link to our Telegram chat room. If you'd like an invitation, send me an email, and I'll send you an invite to our Telegram chat room link. And this is not Ham.live. This is our Telegram chat room that's up 24 hours a day, and we post stuff there. And it's been there forever. It's called the um, Colorado Digital Multi-Protocol chat room, which is what we are, Colorado Digital Multi-Protocol guys. Yeah, with that being said, we've reserved modules A through H for Brandmeister. A through H. And that's all Brandmeister connected. Let me show you something in the chat room. So there's these different tabs on our reflector. If you want to see the reflector, somebody can put a link in there. Or you can just go to coloradodigital.net, which is our webpage, and click on the dashboard link, and then you can link over from there. But if you look at what I just put in the chat room, or you can go on the web and see it, and if you click on peers, we have 4 peers. Number 4 is Brandmeister Master Server 3102. And if you look at the modules that's linked into, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. If you go to module I, J, K, L, M, N, et cetera, all the way to Z, you can even connect with D-Star or any DGID to any module in our reflector and have communication on any module, even if it's like Q or T or whatever. Anybody can link into any module. But A through H, especially, we don't allow any bridging with any of those modules. If you are interested in bridging or have any questions, please contact myself or any of the admins. You can send me an email at buckyhotline@gmail.com or w0sun.bucky, B-U-C-K-Y, @gmail.com. Both emails would work. But, yeah, it's pretty strict. We're pretty strict. Now, with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about this. There's been a lot of interesting comments about this whole subject, not only here, but other places as well. Okay, this is what I've heard. Why is Brandmeister so strict? Or Brandmeister doesn't play well with others. Or, so a lot of people, get just not correct information. But you have to keep in mind, and this is the way, let me just tell you a little bit about my experience with the DMR networks. First of all, there was the DMARC. Do you remember the DMR network a long time ago? They only allowed Motorola equipment and only expensive Moto Turbo. That's all Motorola, C bridges, things like that. And along comes Brandmeister, the new kids on the block. Brandmeister, they were not as strict. They were open. They allowed hotspots. They allowed other stuff. They allowed YSF. They allowed all kinds of bridging and everything. And it was like freedom. It was like, oh, yay. Yeah. let's embrace this new network. This is awesome. So back in the good old days, we embraced Brandmeister. Believe me, we embraced it, and now everybody's got hotspots. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't as popular back then, but now it's really popular. In fact, most of our traffic comes through hotspots. So yeah. Thank you, Brandmeister, for allowing all that. This is way open, way more open than DMARC back in the early days of DMR digital communication. So it's like deja vu, right? So I'm going to, did I put in this link? Did I put in this link? Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. Let me put in this link. This is a really good link. Um, I'm going to reference this. This is good to know. I really want to explain this because it's becoming a kind of a big deal in what I'm hearing. So I put a link into Bridging to Brandmeister. If you want to go to help.brandmeister.network and then click on Bridges and then Bridging to Brandmeister. And these are the rules. This is excellent information. Does Brandmeister bridge to other networks? Yes, totally. They do. They bridge to other networks, but you gotta follow the rules. Alright, this is a statement that I came across, I just want to read this. Yeah, I got enough time. So, why is Brandmeister so strict? These strict rules are necessary because what does it do? It protects the stability of this global, popular, worldwide DMR network. Brandmeister is the most popular network out there. How many Brandmeister master servers do they have? Sometimes, like USA has 3. I don't know how many Canada has, but many countries have 2 master servers. Countries all around the world, if they have enough traffic, they establish their own master server and then bring it into the Brandmeister fold. This is all done by volunteers, all trying to keep the network going. And so strict rules are necessary to protect the stability of this huge worldwide global network. So let me reset. So uncontrolled breaching is a primary source of problems on Brandmeister. It causes network loops, degraded audio quality, packet loss, chaotic user experiences. So these rules are designed to prevent network-wide outages and just bring a high-quality experience for everybody using the network. And um, a lot of bridging is going on, and that leads to packet loss and looping. Looping is big, so it's easy to create a loop if you're not doing a bridge just right. And so go to this go to this webpage. It's a really good read. It's going to help you understand. And if you're going to submit a help request or a support ticket with Brandmeister, these are the rules you have to read. These are the page that you want to read if you want to create an authorized bridge to Brandmeister. And Colorado Digital Multi-Protocol, every one of our bridges is totally 100% authorized. Okay, so let's talk about bridging a little bit. It's the policy of Colorado Digital to follow this policy, these procedures. 100%. So, okay, hang on a second. Okay, K2AS, following those instructions on their web pages, he put in a ticket in early April to link Brandmeister to his XLX reflector and also WiresX. The ticket is still open and no response. So what I recommend, have you gone to either their Facebook page or they have a really excellent Telegram um, chat room, and you can talk to directly to the system administrators. I wonder if you've done that, Brian. Um, they have a Brandmeister support group. Also, have you put asking for a status update on your ticket? So, and also remember that these are all volunteers. Maybe got lost in the system, but yeah, see if you can put another statement out there or another inquiry on the status. All right, let me reset. Okay, what do I want to talk about? I got so much here. I can talk about a lot of things. So, let's see. Let's see. No rebridging. You cannot bridge a Brandmeister talk group to another server and then rebridge it to a different network. I've seen that, and you can see this on Last Heard. Somebody did it here, and it's really. I'm watching all these dashboards, and I'm watching Last Heard for talk group 31088. And as I'm doing the network, suddenly when I'm talking, if I'm doing it right, I see one stream of me talking. It's a green stream on my white page. But when this bridging was taking place, I was seeing two streams, not just one, so it was really easy to spot. So I'm like, what's going on? And I'm sitting there seeing it, and not only am I talking once, but I'm also talking twice. So it's really easy to see if someone's bridging because you're seeing two streams in Last Heard. And I'm like, okay, somebody's doing something weird. And then we have to go track it down and to that person. Now, are they doing it on purpose? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of these things are accidentally. So you got to be gentle. You got to be, give them the benefit of the doubt. But we have to contact them and let them know. One time, somebody didn't know he was doing it, and this is what I found out when I was discovering this. This is one time that I saw somebody bridging. Let me reset. Okay, some guy had two hotspots, and he had one in his house, and he had one in his car. He didn't turn them on at the same time. He made special effort to only use one at a time. So and they were open spots. So he had one open spot at home, 433.9 megahertz, which is the default open spot frequency. And then he turned it off, or no, he didn't even turn it off. He left it on. Okay, so he says, I'm only going to do one at a time. So he was out of range, right? So when he goes to the car, he drives, and then he thinks he's out of range, and then he turns it on. And now he's talking on his hotspot in the car, and it's convenient because he's got the same frequency, right? So he's going around, and he's talking on this open spot. Well, he starts looping, and we're getting all these loops during the net or whenever. He's like, what's going on? So somebody's looping. I tracked him down. We contacted him, and we're like, what are you doing? Explain to me what your environment is, and you're creating a loop. And he goes, no, I'm only operating one at a time. I go, no, you are creating a loop. And we're looking at last heard, and we can see that he's using homebrew, which is a good sign that he's using an OpenSpot versus an MMDVM. OpenSpot does homebrew, PyStar does MMDVM. So, yeah, both hotspots were on the same frequency, and he thought he was far enough away, but he was talking on his home hotspot at the same time he was talking on his mobile OpenSpot, and he was like 7 miles away, but his home OpenSpot was picking up his mobile signal, and so it created a loop. Yeah, you remember that one, WD0HDR. He was in on that one as well. So that was one example. And then there was another example, like I said, somebody was creating a bridge, and then I was transmitting twice at the same time instead of once. So those are examples. So, this document on bridging, if you go through the whole thing, it talks about looping and things like that. Let's go to some examples that we've seen and other people have seen. So, of course, we talked about two users are operating hotspots on the same frequency. Oh, this happens too. How many ham radio neighbors do you have, and how many people are using digital communications? And what are the chances of two hotspots being operated on the same frequency in the same neighborhood in the close proximity? Both are connected to the same talk group on Brandmeister, things like that. So if you're using an OpenSpot, beware. If you're using an OpenSpot, the default frequency when you open that OpenSpot and program it is 433.9 megahertz. So what are the chances of two people having an OpenSpot and having that frequency, that same frequency of 433.9 megahertz and creating a loop? The chances are pretty high. So maybe if you have an OpenSpot, you got to change it from the default of 433.9 just to be safe. Okay, so let's see. Two users are operating hotspots on the same frequency in close proximity, and both are connected to the same talk group on Brandmeister. User 1 keys up the talk, and their hotspot transmits the signal to the Brandmeister network. Okay? The network sends the audio back to user 2 hotspot. Because user 1 and user 2 because their hotspots are so close, user 1's radio receives the audio transmission from user 2 hotspot, resulting in a distorted audio loop. So it creates a collision and distortion and an audio loop. So that's another way to create a hotspot to hotspot collision. So here's another scenario. Comment? Yeah, please. Thank you. Chris, go ahead with your comments to W0SUN. Here's another scenario for you. And I learned this one the hard way. If you have two hotspots on the same network but different frequencies, you can still cause problems, but you also have problems on your own if they're too close to each other, and that's what I found out. Suddenly, they were both reading exactly the same thing. they get too close and they start talking with each other, even if they can be on two different bands. And I think it's probably because a lot of them are using the cheap Chinese modem boards, but that's part of nature. And it's just interesting that what can happen if you put too close to each other, even though they're not on the same frequency. So that's something else to be careful of. I have 4 hotspots right in front of me that are all close to each other, but there's only one on Grandmeister, there's one on G-Star, there's one on YSF, and there's one on P25. And so that doesn't hurt anything, but when they're on the same network, for some reason they can get each other. Back to you. Oh, well, I got the microphone. Let me update the chat room. Let me reset. This is KV2IDX. Hang on. We left off at Eric, K5RUN80NO, and 4AVF, W6CET, and K2AS, bringing us up to 15 check-in tonight. And, Dave, I'm going to read your question here in a minute. We just snuck in. Look at that. KF0OOV. Okay, Bucky, back to you for a moment. KV2IDX. Okay, I have some important information. I'm going to leave the looping and the bridging and stuff, but I'm going to talk about something a little bit further on in the page. But first, before I do that, let me see if anybody has any comments or questions for the net. Anybody have any comments or questions for the net? Please come out with your call sign. Yeah, VK3EAN, good day to you guys, Bucky and Chris. Hello, Erwin. All right, what do you have for me today? Yeah, good evening to you guys. I've got to remove the time differences. Hi. Chris, hi to you there too. Question is, I cross mode on my MMDVM hotspot to to YSF. DMR to YSF. Now, on my hotspots, I use 2 or 3 different networks. I don't always listen to all of them at once, but I switch off, I kind of not link different networks each time. The problem is, and I'll say this quite boldly, YSF have messed around so much with their reflectors. They used to have, a good couple of months ago, not linked a reflector, which was great. Then I tried 4000. It worked perfectly each and every time. They've now given that to some German thing, Liga or something, whatever. There is nothing to actually disconnect from your radio to the hotspots. I wanted to email these guys, but if you start emailing them and asking them questions, they'll always say, you've got the problem, we don't have the problem. The arrogance. So, this is why, let me ask you, or ask people here on the net,
How do we go about it without actually disconnecting from the actual hotspot, but from the radio? Back to you from VK3EAM.
Okay, I'm trying to understand how do you disconnect from not only the hotspot, but from the radio. Okay, so I didn't understand how to disconnect from the... So what type of radio? Is it a DMR or C4FM? Are you talking about disconnecting from the radio? So, which mode are you talking about?
VK3EAM back to W0SUN and KB2IX and the crowd. I've always used I've only got DMR radios, but I want to use a cross mode between DMR to YSF, that cross mode of the toggle thing on PyStar or WPSD, whatever it is. Those reflectors on YSF that you want to connect to, they used to incorporate one of the reflectors for disconnecting your radio from the network, and then I tried 4000. It worked perfectly, and now they've given it over to another crowd in Germany, Liga or whatever, however you pronounce it. How does one disconnect your radio from the network? So that it says not linked in the bottom section of PyStar. That's what I want to know. Not to disconnect from the hotspot side, to disconnect from your radio side. QSL?
So L2B's in my answer. Oh, this is the master. So Paul is doing this all the time. So I understand your question. So you're going cross mode from DMR to YSF. Hey, it's interesting. We talked about cross band and cross mode. So now we're talking about cross mode. So you're going through a high PyStar and going DMR to YSF to a YSF reflector. And usually on DMR, you hit the 4000 command and you disconnect. So when you're in cross mode, how in the world do you disconnect? Okay, that's the question. Now I want to hear what Paul has to say. So go ahead, Paul. In New Zealand, ZL2, Bravo, Echo, Zulu.
Yes, W0SUN, ZL2BZ. Well, I can provide part of an answer for Erwin. What had happened was, when originally he keyed in, he set up 4000, that would have sent it off to reflector 4000, which was not assigned to anybody. And now he's annoyed because they've assigned reflector 4000 to somebody. And that's what's happening to him at the moment. There are some commands. There's RF. There's what is it called? It's called. Let's have a look. Well, let's have a look. Let's for a start find out what software Erwin's running on his PyStar on. Is he running a PyStar or is he running WPSD? Over. ZL2B in the group VK3EAM. I'm running PyStar. I've also got another little SD card with SD on it. I hop back and forth between the two. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's whatever. it's all much of a muchness at the end of the day. That's what it is. But irrespective of it should all be the same. There should be some sort of dead reflector like there was, a number that you could just key it in for a few seconds and it would say not linked. That's all I'm looking at, QSL. Yeah, roger that, everyone. Yes, okay. There is another feature on the PiStar called PiStar RF Remote, and that's an interesting feature that you can use, and you can actually do some disconnection that way. But you probably need to go through the YSF reflector list and find the ones that are not allocated. Pick one of those as your place to go. I know that 4000 was originally not connected, or not assigned to anybody, but looks as though somebody's taken up 4000. Remember, 4000 is only a DMR thing. It's not a YSF thing. So you need to be a bit careful about, because you're using a DMR radio, it doesn't mean all the talk groups and other things like that belong on the DMR world will work on the YSF world. But there is a RF, PiStar remote is a good feature, and you may wish to investigate that. You'll find it in the expert settings. Let's have a look here. I'll just have a look at my one. And you go to the expert, you go to the PiStar remote, and you'll see various commands. And with a DMR radio, you can actually reboot or shut down the hotspot. You can also do various things there. So there are commands that you can do and these need to be set as a private call. That's one of the things you need to understand with the RF remote, that all the talk groups you put in there have to be a private call, not a group call, which normally is a talk group. So that's the story. Anyway, back to you, Bucky, and we'll see if anyone wants to ask any further questions of it.
All right, very good. Yeah, I'm going to move on. Do you have anything else, Erwin? Because I want to move on to some important information, then we can finish on that. But go ahead, Erwin.
Yeah, thanks there, Bucky, and thank you so much there, Paul, for telling me about that. If you would be so kind to email me maybe a reflector or something that's not assigned, or a couple of them, and then I can do that as a private call, that would be great. Bucky, just something for the future which I have not got my head around. I know quickly that the normal hotspots are assigned to color code 1. I don't know what color codes, what they really do, or how one is actually meant to assign them accordingly. Because sometimes you hear conversations, sometimes you don't hear the other side. It's just like, it's weird. So I thought maybe it's got something to do with the color code, because color codes are like PL tones, that type of thing. So I'm not too clued up with that. If you could at some stage discuss that, and talk to us about it. Maybe we can get our hotspots to work a bit better. That would be absolutely fantastic. Paul, thank you so much. If you could email me to something there, vk3ean at gmail.com, vk3ean at gmail.com. Erwin Ringy. Take care, have a wonderful day, guys, and thank you so much once again for all your input you always do. Thank you, VK3EAN.
Okay, very good, Erwin. So what I do is I have a reflector that is not used very much. There's a couple of my friend Steve, KD0SBN, he maintains a room called the Moab room, and sometimes I use that room to go connect to it. It's a YSF reflector, and I'll jump into the Moab room if I don't know how to disconnect. So if I can change rooms, I'll go into a non-crowded room or a reflector. If I can't do a disconnect, I'll switch. Sometimes it's easier to do that. And I'll tell you what, if you have any question or recommendation for a topic, rather than me email you, because I get tons of emails, why don't you email us, and then we can email you back, because I'm not going to remember to email you. I'm just going to tell you right now. If you email us at buckyhotline@gmail.com, that'll jog my memory, and then I can then proceed. So that would be very helpful. I really appreciate that. All right. So that's really good stuff that you brought up. So yeah, I'm not going to remember that, and I'm really busy right now. I'm probably not going to remember what that topic was actually at. All right, let me reset here. One thing I have to bring up, and this is very important, and that's regarding clear notes. Okay. Clear notes. Okay, before clear notes came along, and they're using DV Switch. Before DV Switch came along, Brandmeister had a policy that absolutely they do not bridge to All-Star. That was their policy. They will not bridge to All-Star. In fact, it still says that. If you go to the bridges page, it actually will say that they do not bridge to All-Star. Now, what about ClearNode? ClearNode, I use my ClearNode to bridge over to YSF whenever I want, D-Star, I can bridge over to TGIF, I can bridge over to AMCOM. I tend to limit my bridging over to Brandmeister just because of that rule that I was already aware of before I got my ClearNode. But this is what even though they have that policy, they bend the rules. They let you bend the rules. And this is what they recommend. Absolutely do not use your ClearNode to go to talk group 91 or 93 or any of those talk groups with 2 digits. Absolutely do not bridge to any of the TAC talk groups, 310 or 312, 311, 318, 319, any of those TAC. Do not bridge to talk group 3100 because these are the 4 digits, the 2 digits, the 3 digits, the 4 digits, the statewide, the countrywide. Do not bridge to those talk groups. That is prohibited. I don't know if you knew that, but if you're using a ClearNode, do not go to worldwide. Alright? That's a rule. Just don't do it. Okay, let me reset. Okay, we are on a 5-digit talk group. If you want to bridge to the 5-digit talk group, you need to know who the administrator is for that talk group, and that's us. So, you can contact any one of us to ask for permission to cross mode. This is the Brandmeister. This is what they say on their bridging network. Just make sure you have the permission from the administrator of a 5-digit talk group, like 31083 or 31088. All right.